How many games will the Baltimore Ravens win in 2022? What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, predicting the Ravens' schedule, the wins, the losses, the tough matchups, the easy matchups, how the Ravens will do in 2022, game by game, breaking it down, giving you my thoughts and analysis on each opponent for the 2022 NFL season. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV NFL record predictions for the rest of the AFC North, the rest of the AFC, and the rest of the NFL. Also, hop in the comment section and let me know how you think the Ravens will do in 2022. Do you expect them to get back to the playoffs? Do you expect them to win the AFC North? Let me know in the comment section below, and let's predict some games. Ravens fans, it's time to find out your record for the 2022 NFL season. The season begins in New York, MetLife, versus the up-and-coming Jets. But the Ravens, being the start-strong team that they are, will take it to the young club. I believe domination on the defensive side of the football here. I think it's very difficult for a young Zach Wilson, even at home, to be able to decipher, go through his reads, make the correct throws, and not make mistakes, most specifically, against the Ravens defense. Very smart back end, very good in terms of confusing quarterbacks. I think the Ravens get this one done with their defense in week one. Lamar might run into a bit of a wall here with the Jets' strong defensive line, but I think the defense gets it done. Week two, you got the Miami Dolphins. I think you get revenge from last season. You play at home this time. It's the home opener. And you play Tua, another quarterback that you can take advantage of there from that perspective. You were very weak in terms of the personnel that you had last year when you played the Dolphins. On top of, they don't have Brian Flores, so they don't have the guy that kind of configured that game plan to beat you guys last year. Maybe they carry over some of the stuff that they did, but I feel like the Ravens with a better offensive line, better defense, more players there that, again, weren't there last year. I think Lamar bounces back and showcases his ability against the Dolphins in week two. Week three, you play the Patriots in New England, which is always fun. As a Patriots fan, I think this game could go either way. We beat you guys in 2020. You beat us in 2019. So Lamar Jackson's third time playing Bill Belichick. I could see this going either way because I think both teams are pretty similar in how they're built. They're both power run teams. I think the Ravens at this point are just currently a little bit more talented. And even though it's in New England, I think the way that the Ravens defense is built to stop the run and slow down the Patriots' main attack, I think is going to give them the edge here, where I do think the Ravens can find a way to run the ball a bit on the Patriots. So ultimately, I'm going to take the Ravens in potentially a tight, good game, but the Ravens should come out with the win. Week four, you got the Buffalo Bills, a team that has given you guys issues, especially with Josh Allen the last couple of years. In the playoffs, the Bills beat you, but I do think it could go either way. I just think that the Bills, what I've seen from them when they play you, they have a really good ability to slow down your Roman, Lamar, quarterback running game, and they really force you to find alternatives that you haven't been able to find in those matchups. So until I see you guys have a more competent passing game plan to beat the Bills, I have to go with the Bills because even though you got a strong defense and even though this is at home, Josh Allen is a different animal and he will find a way to score. So I'm going to go with the Bills, but I do expect a one-score game. Week five, you play the Bengals. Bengals, week five, I'm going to say that you win at home. I think this is kind of like I've been saying, the big brother versus the little brother. The Bengals are the little brother on the rise. They're confident. They're cocky. They beat you a couple times last year. They made you feel it. But this year, I think you're healthier. I think you want revenge. I think you want to make a statement within the division. This is the first time you'll be able to do so. You're at home. I think you take the first game versus Cincinnati. Week six, you're a much better team than the Giants and probably cause a couple Daniel Jones turnovers. I'm going to go with you guys there. Although Don Martindale wants his revenge. Might want his revenge. Week 7, the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be Deshaun Watson, one of his first games of the season because he's likely to be suspended about 4 weeks. So a big spot for him. But I think, again, in Baltimore, I really respect that home field. On top of that, I think you guys can do a good enough job slowing down the run game. And I think Lamar has always had some of his best games against the Browns. So I'm going to take Lamar Jackson over Deshaun in what should be a very exciting back and forth game in the division. Week 8, you head to Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady and company. And Tom Brady and the Ravens have had a rivalry over the years that has gone back and forth. I definitely think the Ravens defense is going to rise to the occasion and face the Bucs with as much passion and energy as they can and try to slow them down. I could see this being a tight game both ways, but the deciding factor for me is Thursday night, short week, coming off a divisional opponent in Tampa Bay. On top of that, Tampa Bay's a really good run-stopping team. They can slow down your run game, force most of it to go on Lamar's shoulders through the passing game. And I think Tom Brady's just going to have more answers on a short week versus your defense than you will have versus Tampa's defense. That's just my opinion. But I think Devin White, Levante David, those guys can chase Lamar down. I'm going to go with the Bucs. Week 9, you play the Saints. This is another really tough opponent for you guys. I think Jameis Winston can be streaky and can definitely be a guy that can throw 3 touchdowns or 3 picks or both in a single game. And that can be really tough to predict. But on top of that, it's a tough environment in New Orleans, specifically on a Monday night primetime game where all the fans are drunk. Then on top of that, you've got a defense that's been one of the strongest against the run over the years. They're a very good defense in all facets. Might be the best in the league, to be honest with you. And they've got some playmakers now that they can work with, and specifically Alvin Kamara could be a mismatch against you guys. I think the Saints are going to upset you in that game, maybe like by a field goal, last second type deal. But Monday night in New Orleans, no shame in losing that. Then you go into the bye week. Week 11, you play the Panthers. That should be a get-right game versus the Panthers. Panthers aren't very good. You should easily walk over them. Week 12, you play the Jags. Maybe this is potential upset territory where it's in Jacksonville. So that could be a team that you look over pretty easily, but I'm just going to go with the Ravens. I think they're too good to lose that game. Week 13, you play the Broncos, Russell Wilson in Baltimore, though. If this was in Mile High, I might lean towards the Broncos, but I'm going to go with the Ravens here. I just have questions about the coaching, and I think the coaching matchup, the Ravens strongly favors them over the Broncos, so I'm going to go with Baltimore. Week 14, the Ravens versus the Steelers. I think you lose to the Steelers once per year, so I'm just going to take the Steelers here for no apparent reason other than this is a rivalry and they beat you, period. Week 15, you play the Browns. I think the Browns are also going to beat you once. Again, the AFC North rivalry, they're probably going to beat you once this year. All these teams are good in the AFC North, so to split with all of them would make sense. So that just gives you my prediction for the Bengals game, where I'm going to take the Bengals. And ultimately, how I see it going down is the Ravens will win these 2 games. They'll split with the Steelers and they'll beat the Falcons, which will mean that they'll ultimately finish second in the division, ahead of the Browns but below the Bengals is what I see it as. If you want to check out my specific game predictions for them, just check it out in the AFC North. But I think Week 18 is going to be for the division. And basically how it turns out is that the Bengals play that game at home. The Bengals did a good job versus you guys last year. I think you've had, for whatever reason, trouble defending Jamar Chase and those receivers, for whatever reason. They're really good. But yeah, the Bengals and the Ravens, I think, are the 2 teams where I feel like back and forth could win the division in the AFC North, but I think both are going to make the playoffs. And then the Browns are another team that I think are pretty close to making the playoffs as well, and probably will make the playoffs if Deshaun can play enough games. So that's how I see it right there. I got the Baltimore Ravens with an 11-6 record, getting back to the playoffs and getting back to January, which ultimately is what matters, especially with the new 7-seed format where home field doesn't matter as much. So I have you 3-3 splitting in your division, which makes a lot of sense given the opponents. 8-4 in the conference, pretty strong. 7-1 at home, 4-5 away. Let me know what you guys think. I have you as a wild card team right now in the AFC. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or if you have an alternative perspective. Let me know in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. Peace.